We have some good news. 3 more of our hostages have been freed. I'm Yair Pinto, bringing you a special report on the release of our hostages. Arbel Yehud, who was originally supposed to be released during the first 2 phases of this deal. Agam Berger, the last IDF female soldier remaining in the Gaza Strip, and Gadi Moses, who turned 80 while being in captivity. They have all been freed today, along with 5 foreign workers from Thailand who were kept hostages by Hamas in the Gaza Strip. Let's get into the nerve-wracking journey of their release, Hamas's threatening spectacular in Gaza, and the joy of seeing 3 more of our hostages finally returning home in peace. So let's dive into the details. I'm Yair Pinto, and this is your boots on the ground covering events in Israel. This is day 482 of our war against Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthi militias in Iraq. All of them are backed by Iran, which is the head of the axis of evil in the Middle East. Before we start, I want to invite you to click that subscribe button so that you stay connected to the truth in real time and never miss an episode of Boots on the Ground. Let's start with what happened in the beginning of the day in the hellish situation in the Gaza Strip. Today, the hostages were released in 2 different parts. Agam, who was released first in Jabalia, while Arbel and Gadi, along with 5 Thai workers, were released a few hours later in Khan Yunis, in the southern part of the Gaza Strip. But first of all, in the very early hours of the morning, an important sign of life arrived from the hostages. This morning, Islamic Jihad published a video of Arbel and Gadi embracing each other before their release. At the same time, according to the IDF, the Red Cross had already been given a rendezvous point to pick up Agam Berger from Jabalia. She had left Jabalia and was handed over to the Red Cross. In footage aired by Arab networks, you could see convoys of vehicles with Hamas flags in the background. In this flashy parade, complete with an improvised stage and crowds of enemy soldiers, Hamas once again tried to steal the show and appear in control, but their bluff was exposed in seconds. In reality, Jabalia is demolished, essentially wiped out completely. There isn't a single building in the footage that is fit for habitation, and it has become a symbol of total ruins. Hamas tries to pretend everything is under control, but after 15 months of fighting, Hamas is already defeated. Even as the terrorist organization attempts to project an image of strong governments, the footage circulating on various networks in these final moments quickly reveal the truth. Hamas will try to frame this as a victory, but the images of Agam that show us a hero raising her hand, telling us, "I'm on my way home." Look, she was held by Hamas terrorists in northern Gaza. Like other freed female hostages, she was also given a certificate and a surprise bag in a seeking ceremony. By the way, I want to highlight that Agam is an Orthodox Jew, and during her captivity, Agam insisted on keeping Sabbath, Saturday, and following kosher laws, showing remarkable courage and mental resilience. Other freed hostages said she was careful not to light a fire on Saturday, Sabbath, or eat non-kosher meat. Finally, we saw the moving images of Agam reunited with her parents, a moment that filled me and all of us with tremendous pride, love, and joy. Our prayers for her safe return have been answered. Agam Berger's family said after this emotional reunion, "Thanks God we reached this moment, and our hero Agam has returned to us after 482 days in enemy hands. Our girl is strong, faithful, and brave. We wish to thank the security forces and the entire Israeli people for all the support and prayers. Now, Agam and we can begin the rehabilitation process, but that process won't be finished until every last hostage is home. Before we move on to details about the other 2 hostages and the humiliation parade Hamas staged for them, I want to remind you to keep sharing the truth, and most importantly, click that subscribe button so you never miss another episode of Boots on the Ground. Israel believes that Hamas wants to complete the next 2 exchanges today and Saturday because it wants to open the Rafah border crossing with Egypt, which is supposed to happen between Friday and Saturday, by day 14 of this ceasefire. Each day, 50 wounded Palestinians are expected to cross there, along with 3 escorts per wounded individual, totaling 200 people daily, pending approval by the Shin Bet and Egypt. The agreement states that if Hamas wants to bring in children above that number, it can be done with Israel's approval, which Israel is not expected to deny. Around midday, shortly before the second part of the release, the United States President Donald Trump's envoy to the Middle East, Steve Witkoff, arrived at the hostages' square in Tel Aviv. The crowd greeted him with applause and shouted, "Thank you." Moving on to the second part of the release, Arbel Yehud, 29 years of age, and Gadi Moses, 80 years of age, kidnapped from Kibbutz Nir Oz on October 7, 2023, are being freed today, Thursday, after 482 days near the ruins of Yahya Sinwar's home in Khan Yunis. They are released alongside 5 Thai civilians from Thailand following the release of the lookout IDF soldier Agam Berger from captivity in Jabalia earlier today. Masses of Gazans gathered at the handover point in the Khan Yunis area surrounding the vehicles holding the hostages before they were turned over to the Red Cross. The terror groups decided to finalize the release near the home of Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar. Al Jazeera reported that Arbel got out of the vehicle and was handed over on foot to the Red Cross. Immediately after, it was reported that Gadi also walked amongst the crowds. It's important to understand what happened in those tense moments. Right before the handover to the Red Cross, the worst humiliation occurred. Gazan mobs gathered for about 40 minutes, blocking the vehicles. Hamas terrorists wanted the 2 hostages to pass by terrorist Yahya Sinwar's destroyed home to humiliate Israel. Arbel Yehud in particular was known for preventing thousands of Gazan residents, I'm talking about hundreds of thousands of Gazan residents, from moving through the Netzarim route because Hamas violated the ceasefire agreement last week by not releasing her. Hamas and the Islamic Jihad could have driven the hostages directly to the exchange point, but instead they forced them to walk just to humiliate them. Al Jazeera even commented that Arbel is the most famous prisoner in the Gaza Strip, and that's why she had to endure this horrific humiliation. With the masses shouting, throwing objects, and masked gunmen surrounding her. Watching the footage, you wonder why no other country in the world wants to take these so-called nice, peace-loving Gazans into their territory. Later, there was another delay involving Gadi. He couldn't be seen for a while. After many long minutes of delayed handover, Gadi finally entered the Red Cross vehicle in Khan Yunis. The scene was absolute chaos, with crowds of Gazans screaming for violence and hatred around the vehicles. By midday on Thursday, Israel had conveyed a stream of messages to the mediators condemning the nightmare footage from the Khan Yunis area that showed Arbel Gadi and the 5 Thai civilians essentially paraded around by terrorists before reaching the Red Cross vehicles. It's absurd. 4 different Palestinian terrorist organizations were involved in handing over a single Israeli hostage: the Islamic Jihad, Hamas, the Popular Resistance Committees, and the Mujahideen Brigades. You see just how many terror families operate in Gaza. The Red Cross clarified in earlier passes that they maintain contact with all the parties to ensure as safe a passage as possible for the returning hostages and their team. But they can't control what happens at the release location or time. After Arbel and Gadi, 5 Thai civilians were also handed over 482 days after their abduction. The IDF and the Shin Bet stated that these 7 freed hostages are now on their way to meet the forces stationed in the Gaza Strip. Let's pause for a moment to acknowledge the less known captives. Hamas even held Thai agricultural workers for over a year. 10 of the 90 remaining hostages are foreign citizens who were kidnapped from local kibbutzim communities, and 8 of them are from Thailand, who came here seeking to earn a living to support their families, and 2 from Nepal and Tanzania. 5 of these foreigners are being freed today in this deal. They too encountered the furious Gazan crowds putting on a terror show for Hamas. It's tough to watch the bloodthirsty mob glorifying violence and evil, people wrapped in blankets, tossing flowers, children clutching weapons and wearing masks, acting as if they are heroes. A Gazan child might grow up thinking being a terrorist is the best option he has. To end this cycle of evil, we need your help spreading the truth. So please, share this video and follow us on social media. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel. If you want to support our mission to share what's really happening in Israel, please click that donate button on YouTube or go to tbnisrael.com/give. Every dollar you give us goes through telling the truth and keeping you informed about events in Israel. Eventually, the Red Cross took the 8 freed individuals, Arbel Yehud, Gadi Moses, and 5 Thai civilians. The IDF said that the 7 are being escorted by an elite IDF unit and the Shin Bet forces on their way into the Israeli territory. Earlier this morning, lookout Agam Berger was also released from Hamas captivity in Jabalia. The Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, said the government of Israel embraces these 7 returnees. Their families were informed by the relevant parties that they have rejoined our forces. The government, along with all the security forces, will support them and their families. The government of Israel remains committed to bringing home all hostages and missing persons. I will bring back the captives of my people Israel. They shall build the waste cities and inhabit them. This is a verse from the Bible, from Amos 9:14. Today's hostage release is met with mixed feelings among terror victims' families who see those responsible for killing their loved ones go free under the Israel-Hamas deal. One of those to be released is Zacharia Zubeida, defined by the defense establishment as the celebrity terrorist with a history of carrying out terrorist attacks. In exchange for this phase of releases, Israel will free 110 terrorists from Israeli prisons. For releasing IDF lookout soldier Agam Berger, Israel will free 30 prisoners serving life sentences and another 20 serving various terms. For Arbel Yehud's release, Israel will free 30 minors and women. For Gadi Moses, Israel will free 30 prisoners serving 27 various terms and 3 serving life sentences. We'll be discussing this further on our podcast with Mati Shoshani, so be sure to click that subscribe button to stay updated on all the videos and updates from Israel at TBN Israel. According to the IDF, the returnees Arbel Yehud, Gadi Moses, and 5 Thai civilians have crossed into the Israeli territory with an IDF and Shin Bet escort. They briefly crossed into the Israeli territory and have since joined their families. The 2 Israeli returnees, Arbel Yehud and Gadi Moses, have reunited with their loved ones. The 5 foreign returnees will soon meet with Thai government representatives at the reception point. Because of the terror tactics surrounding Arbel, Israel issued a complaint with the Qatari and the Egyptian mediators, citing the chaos at Khan Yunis. Prime Minister Netanyahu also condemned the disturbing footage and issued a stern warning. I take a very grave view of the horrific images from the release of our hostages. This is further proof of the inconceivable cruelty of the Hamas terrorist organization. I call on all the mediators to ensure that such atrocities and scenes are not repeated and that our hostages remain safe. Anyone who harms our hostages will be punished. There is a secret initiative led by Donald Trump that could change the Middle East as we know it. According to United States administration sources, there are intense discussions with regional countries to accept Gaza refugees in exchange for major United States economic aid. Trump is considering building new housing for Gazan residents, promoting it as either a temporary or a long-term solution. However, not all countries are on board. Egypt and Jordan, for instance, are under pressure to cooperate, and Trump may use economic leverage to persuade them. This move, starting with Gazans heading north, marks the milestone in the ceasefire agreement. The big question is whether regional countries will try to agree to take responsibility for hundreds of thousands of refugees under United States pressure, and how it might reshape the Middle East as each side balances the financial benefits against the political impact. We don't know how all of this will unfold, but we must continue praying for this situation. So please keep praying for Israel. Pray for the safety of our hostages that are still held by Hamas in the Gaza Strip. Keep sharing the truth, and be sure to like, share, and subscribe to TBN Israel on YouTube. Most importantly, pray for our IDF soldiers wherever they are fighting, defending us, in Gaza, in Lebanon, in Syria, or in Judea and Samaria. Pray for the people of Israel, and never forget to pray for the peace of Jerusalem. And together, we will win this war.
Hello, this is Mati here in Jerusalem with TBN Israel.
This is Yair Pinto from TBN Israel here in Jerusalem. TBN Israel is keeping viewers informed with Israel-focused news, culture, and what God is doing in this land.
Support TBN Israel today online at tbn.org/Israel. Thank you.